Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. My name is Hallie and I'm so happy that you're here, and welcome back to Bookmas Day 2. For today's Bookmas video, we will be going over my December soft TBR. As you guys know, this year I started doing my monthly TBRs in more of a soft TBR style, where I look at my monthly TBR more as a suggestion list of books that I think I'll be in the mood to read, but it's okay if I don't get to them or if I find other books throughout the month that I end up wanting to pick up instead. That way I don't have so much pressure on my shoulders of having like a hard TBR as a mood reader. It just never happens. So this way I can still make fun lists of books that I want to read or want to remind myself that I have and I think I might be in the mood for, while still giving myself the freedom to mood read. So with that being said, I'm really excited to talk about the books that I kind of have my eye on going into December. I literally cannot believe that the last month of 2025 is already here, because I genuinely feel like this year just started. Like last year at the end of 2024, I felt so ready for the new year to start and to get a jump start on all my goals, but this year I just feel like, hold on, wait a minute, because how is it over already? I'm not quite ready to start an entire another new year, but I digress. Let's just get right into the books that I would like to read this month, starting off with a few little Christmassy holiday books. First of all, we have The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year. This is a book that I got from Book of the Month last year, actually in December, so this has been on my TBR far too long. I'm really intrigued to get into this one, especially because this year I've tried out a few cozy fantasies and I ended up really liking that genre, so I'm very interested to try out a cozy mystery and see if I end up liking it as well, because I do really enjoy mystery thrillers in general. So I'm very intrigued to see if I like a cozy mystery as well. Basically, all I know about this book is that it takes place at like a holiday party, and I've heard people compare this to like the game of Clue, I think, where you're like having to like unravel clues and like solve a mystery. And that's literally all I know, but I'm really excited to get into it and, like I said, see if I like the vibe of a cozy mystery thriller. I'm not sure if I will like it as much as I like regular mystery thrillers, because I do tend to like mystery thrillers where it does feel like a little bit more high stakes. I feel like it keeps me really involved and like intrigued in the book and like mentally present, especially with ADHD. It just like it hooks my attention, like not knowing what's gonna come next and knowing that like people's lives are in danger. So I'm interested to see if a cozy mystery will have that same element or not. But that's the first book on my little soft TBR, The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year. The next little holiday book that we have is A Holly Jolly Never After. This is a holiday book that I actually bought last year, and I didn't end up reading it because when I bought it at Half Price Books, I didn't realize that it was the second book in a little interconnected, I think, trilogy. So then I ended up borrowing the first book from this interconnected little series from my library and reading it, and I honestly didn't really love it, so I didn't end up picking this one up last year. But because I do already own it from buying it last year, obviously I do want to try and pick this up this holiday season and see if maybe I like it better than the first one, because I have had that happen before where in an interconnected series I like one much more than the other. So very intrigued. I think that this one follows two actors who are like enemies, but they have to play a couple in love on a TV show or something like that. That's all I know about this one, but I'm very intrigued to see if I like this better than the first one, because the first one I feel like, first of all, the covers for the series are just like so cute and wintry. I'll put the cover for the first one up here, like such cute covers, but the first one was just like honestly not what I was expecting and kind of a letdown. So I'm hoping that this one is better and I end up liking it more than I liked the first one. The next book that I have is The Enchanted Greenhouse. I am so excited to get to this one because I recently read The Spell Shop and I ended up liking that one so much more than I expected. This is one of the cozy fantasy series that I was talking about picking up and realizing that I really like the cozy fantasy genre so far from what I've read. And in this book, our main character is a character that was very slightly mentioned in the first book, because in the first book, one of the main characters is a sentient spider plant, and in the beginning of the book, it's mentioned that the librarian who used forbidden magic to create the sentient spider plant ended up being turned into a wooden statue to be like made an example of for using forbidden magic. And so in this book, we are following the librarian who had previously been turned into a wooden statue, and her spell ends up getting broken somehow, and we get to follow her journey, I guess, after having that happen. I don't really know, but I'm very intrigued to get to see her backstory, because I remember in the first book, whenever that was mentioned, I already was thinking like that's so interesting and I wish that we were told a little bit more about it. And like when I read the first book, I didn't realize that we would be getting a second book. I thought that The Spell Shop was just going to be a standalone, so I'm really excited to get more of her backstory and like more of her story in general in this one. The next book that I really want to finish this month, because I actually have already started this, is Reckless by Elsie Silver. This is the fourth book in the Chestnut Springs series, and this is a surprise pregnancy small town romance. What I've read so far, I believe I was like 100 and something pages into this. From what I've read so far, I'm really liking it. I know that this book has ended up being a lot of people's favorite book in the Chestnut Springs series. Mine currently is Powerless. I just love that so much. It was my first 5-star in the Chestnut Spring series, so I'm very interested to see if at the end of this book, if this will kind of dethrone Powerless for me, or if Powerless will continue to be my favorite book in the Chestnut Spring series so far. But yeah, what I've read so far, I'm really liking it. It's a surprise pregnancy, but it goes in like a way that you wouldn't expect. Like it has like a little bit of a twist in the way that the surprise pregnancy kind of ensues in like the plot line that we're following, if that makes sense. I know it doesn't because it's vague, but once you pick this up and get into it, it will make more sense, because I remember hearing that whenever I hadn't read this yet, and I was so confused about like how different could a surprise pregnancy trope be. But like there's like a little twist in the beginning in the way that it goes, and I am really liking it so far, honestly, more than I expected I would whenever I realized kind of like the direction that we were going in. But yeah, I'm very excited to finish this and see how I end up feeling about it, and if it becomes my new favorite in the Chestnut Spring series. The next book that I have is actually a book that I haven't heard anyone else talking about, and I randomly just saw it one day while I was grocery shopping at Walmart and then I kept seeing it like the next few times that I went, and finally I caved and I ended up getting it. It is Thorn Season by Kira Azar. I feel like I'm saying that incorrectly, but I'm so excited to read this. This is a YA fantasy, and I believe it's kind of set in like the Regency era matchmaking season type of timeline, and I'm so excited to get into this. First of all, I just think that the copy of this book that I have is so beautiful. I love the sprayed edges mixed with like the color of the dust jacket. It just like, it immediately caught my eye, and I remember whenever I saw this and I saw how pretty it was, I was like, okay, I'm gonna read the synopsis, and I'm praying that the book actually sounds good so that I can pick it up. It literally sounds so good. So this is what is on the little dust jacket, like the sleeve, blurb sleeve, I don't know. It says, an heiress possessing illegal magic who has more to lose than just her secrets, a harsh and glittering royal court where the threat of discovery lurks around every corner, 2 beguiling and very dangerous men who might be her salvation or her ruin. Love triangle, is that you? It's rose season at the palace, but survival will depend on becoming the most vicious of thorns. So as soon as I read that, I was like, yeah, you're coming home with me. I don't know anything else about this. Like I said, I haven't really heard anyone else talk about it because I believe that this is a newer release, and I don't know if this author has any other books or if this is like her debut novel. I'm not really sure about that, but I am so excited to read this. I have really, really high hopes for this one. Honestly, now that I'm saying it out loud, I guess it's going off of nothing besides the fact that like the little blurb sounded really good, and also the copy of the book is just beautiful. So hopefully I don't lead myself astray with this one, but I have a good feeling about this one, and I really hope that I end up loving this as much as I'm hoping that I will. Also, just like speaking of how beautiful this is like the end papers, and I love the way that the end pages kind of like just mesh perfectly with the sprayed edge. It's like it just scratches an itch in my brain. I just think it's so beautiful. So I'm so excited to read this. The next book that I have is People Watching by Hannah Bonham Young. I am so excited to read this because last month I read 2 Hannah Bonham Young books and they were both 5 stars for me. So obviously I have very high hopes for this one. I don't want to go into it with like too high of expectations because I've done that before, and I feel like I have accidentally like ruined the experience of a book for myself by like having way too high of expectations. But I just really, really like Hannah Bonham Young's writing style. I literally know nothing about this book, and I want to keep it that way. I just want to go into this completely blind, just knowing that I like Hannah Bonham Young's writing. I can't really tell you much about this one, sorry, but I want to go into it blind. There's some books that I want to go into blind, and so what am I gonna do? People Watching by Hannah Bonham Young, 5-star prediction, just because both of the Hannah Bonham Young books that I've read have been 5 stars and have been amazing. So there's that one. The next book that I have, some of you are gonna be so excited for, and honestly, I'm equal parts excited and nervous about this one. Fearless by Lauren Roberts. I simply cannot end this year without reading Fearless. Like, that is criminal. I cannot do that. I actually have already started this book, and you can see that I was tabbing my little heart away because anytime that Kai opens his mouth, I just melt into a puddle. I just am in love with this man. I have been putting this book off so bad ever since it came out. Like, I did a pretty good job starting it when it came out, and then I kind of started going into a slump, and then I just never picked it back up, and I've just honestly been procrastinating it. But I have to read this book before the year ends. Like, I literally cannot go into 2026 without finishing this. So everybody force me to finish this book. If it seems like I'm not getting to it, literally bully me nicely in the comments to finish this book, please, because I just need to force myself to finally finish it. If you don't know, this is the final book in the Powerless trilogy by Lauren Roberts. I know that there is a novella after this, so it's kind of giving me peace of mind to go into this and finish this, but knowing that it's the last main book with like Peyton and Kai is just, I think that that's part of the reason why I'm putting it off, because it's like I don't want it to be over, but I need to know what happens, and I'm so scared to know what's gonna happen because it's just like, how are we going to get out of the predicament that we're currently in? I literally don't know. and I'm terrified. So, Fearless by Lauren Roberts. It's finally happening, you guys. Finally, I know. The next book that I have is another romance book that I have wanted to get to so bad for the last few months ever since I got it, but I just haven't had the time. So I'm really hoping that I have the time, and I'm also in the mood to read it this month. It is Ready or Not by Cara Bastone. This will be my first book by this author, but I have really high hopes that I will like this author based off of the reviews that I've seen and like how people talk about her writing. All that I know about this book is that it follows a surprise pregnancy, and I did read like I think I read like the first 2 chapters of this in one of my 24-hour reading challenges, but then I didn't continue on with it because I was reading other books that I was more in the mood for at the time. I remember when I started this already, it was a little bit unexpected because I realized that the relationship that we're following in this book is between our female main character, who obviously finds herself pregnant by surprise, and her best friend's older brother, who I believe is not the father. So I think that that is a very interesting dynamic, and I'm very interested to see how that plays out and if the relationship is like truly believable, that this man is like ready to step into this role even though he's like not the father, and like everything that she's already going through, like building a new relationship while going through a pregnancy and being like pregnant by somebody else. I'm very interested to see how that plays out, and I really hope that I like this book. I'm really excited to read this author's next few books as well. I honestly have a little bit higher of hopes for those ones than this one. Even though I do have really high hopes for this one, I really want to read Promise Me Sunshine and then her book that's actually coming out next year the most. But because I know it's kind of like an interconnected series, I believe, not 100% sure on that one, but I believe it's an interconnected series, so like I need to read them in order for my mental sanity. So Ready or Not by Cara Bastone is another romance book that I am hoping to get to in the month of December. And then our last few books that we have here, first of all, I have this manga, Fruits Basket. This is a manga that was suggested by one of you guys literally so long ago. Like I'm pretty sure it was like in the spring of this year that somebody recommended this to me after I had read Chainsaw Man, because that's one of Marky's favorite mangas. So I read the whole thing because I knew it was like one of his favorites, and one of you guys recommended this to me and said that it gets like really emotional later on in the series, which I'm very intrigued to see how, because the synopsis for this book says, after a family tragedy turns her life upside down, plucky high schooler Toru Honda takes matters into her own hands and moves out into a tent. Unfortunately for her, she pitches her new home on private land belonging to the mysterious Sama clan, and it isn't long before the owners discover her secret. But as Toru quickly finds out when the family offers to take her in, the Samas have a secret of their own. When embraced by the opposite sex, they turn into the animals of the Chinese zodiac. So I'm like very interested to see how this goes and like what the storyline is going to follow and how this eventually turns into like a very emotional story. But I'm excited to read it, and this is another one where I'm just like, I have to read it before the year ends, especially because this was just recommended to me so long ago, and I immediately went out and bought a copy because I was like, okay, like I trust you guys, I want to read it if you say that you think I'll like it. And I really have been liking like more emotional stories, and I want to read more manga, so really hoping to get to this one before the year is over, and I'm very interested to see what I think of it once I finally read it. So very excited for this one. Last but not least, we have our Patreon book club book pick actually for December. It is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I am so excited to read this. I'm genuinely so excited that this won the vote because I kept seeing like fan art for this book and it made me want to read the book so bad. Like genuinely the fan art alone could convince me to read the book, but also the premise of this book just sounds so good. The premise of this book says Sybil Delling has spent 9 years dreaming of having no dreams at all. Like the other foundling girls who traded a decade of service for a home in the great cathedral, Sybil is a diviner. In her dreams, she receives visions from 6 unearthly figures known as the Omens. From them, she can predict terrible things before they occur, and lords and common folk alike travel across the Stonewater Kingdom's windswept moors and craggy mountains to learn their futures by her dreams. Just as she and her sister diviners near the end of their service, a mysterious knight arrives at the cathedral. Rude, heretical, and devilishly handsome, the knight Roderick has no respect for Sybil's visions. But when Sybil's fellow diviners begin to vanish one by one, she has no choice but to seek his help in finding them. For the world outside the cathedral's cloister is wrought with peril. Only the gods have the answers that she is seeking. And as much as she'd rather avoid Roderick's dark eyes and sharp tongue, only a heretic can defeat a god. This just sounds so good. I am so excited to read this. If you are interested in joining the book club and reading this alongside us, the link to the book club is always down in my description box down below. What we do over on the book club is we split the reading up by week, and then we read the same amount each week, and then at the end of each week we come together and have a little discussion on what we have read so far in the book. And then at the end of the month I always post a full spoiler reading vlog for our book club book pick. So like I said, if you're interested in any of that, or you're ever looking for extra content from me or like reading sprint live streams, anything like that, the link is always down in my description box for that. But with that being said, those are all the books that I'm hoping to read in the month of December. That is all I have for today's video. If you have not already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss future content from me. This year here I am doing the 12 days of Bookmas. So I'm posting every other day all the way up until the 24th of December. Lots of fun reading vlogs coming your way. But as far as today's Bookmas video goes, that's all I have. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!